He ends up falling in love with the cosplay girl. Leave your like and let's go. It all starts with our protagonist, a shy and somewhat weird otaku, living quietly in his corner, surrounded by manga, waifus and figurines. The guy has his favorite waifu, Lily, who is like the perfect woman for him, the only one that really matters. No one else comes close. One day there will be an event at school and he doesn't care much, thinking no one will want to join his club. To his surprise, Gary Sembia, what faz ali, ó. A girl shows up at the door wanting to know if she can join the club. And dude, esse, ela chame tabesm is Risa, a freshman who loves manga. She sees the figures around, approaches, and when she touches the statuettes, their clothes come off. The guy almost has a fit thinking she's going to run away. But no, the girl gets excited about what she sees. She starts praising the art of the figures, and even recognizes that one of them is Lily, the special anniversary edition. All excited, she apologizes for touching the pieces, but quickly adds that she has always liked cute characters and even identifies with them. Kumura, the protagonist, starts to think that maybe she is the ideal partner for the club, but he still has a doubt. She is a girl, and that might complicate things. Ririsa, noticing the hesitation, confesses that she has a somewhat unusual hobby that she has never revealed to anyone, for fear of being judged. Okumura, super chill, says it's all good, that the love for these things comes from the heart and there's nothing wrong with it. She then shows her cosplay collection, revealing that she always dreamed of dressing like that since she was a child, and that at the first manga event she attended, she realized she could be herself without fear of exposure. Shishibas. After thinking for a bit, Kumura accepts the idea and says that cosplay will be one of the club's activities, but emphasizes that he is loyal to Lily, and that won't change. Ririsa starts changing right in front of him, and of course, the guy panics. The girl transforms, and when Okumura looks again, he almost freaks out. It seemed like Lily was really there, in the flesh. But the craziest part is yet to come. Ririsa lifts the costume and starts showing all the details, wanting to know what he thinks. He even tries to respawn, but blacks out, and when he wakes up, his head is on her lap. Ririsa, excited, is already eager to start the work the next day. Kumura, still a bit confused, begins to wonder if he's feeling something for Ririsa or if it's just the effect of the cosplay. The next day, she shows up with another character costume and asks him to take some photos. He, not knowing where to hide his face, agrees. During the session, he realizes that, unexpectedly, he's enjoying it. When the photos are ready, Ririsa praises him, saying he has a knack for it. She also reminds Kumura of a promise. He said he would never feel anything for her, but that he would always support her wholeheartedly. While our hero tries to keep his sanity, Ririsa, being a good tease, asks for help with the zipper of her dress that got stuck. The guy in a panic approaches and after a firm tug, manages to free the zipper, but of course, turns his face away because he doesn't want to seem intrusive. But in the midst of this, Ririsa trips, and like a true gentleman, Kumura catches her to prevent her from falling. She thanks him, and they stare at each other for a moment in a somewhat romantic atmosphere. But of course, the scene is broken when Ririsa says, "You can let go now, you're holding me in the wrong place." Poor Okumura, all embarrassed, quickly steps back and runs off to school, thinking about how he's going to deal with this mess with Mamacita. Meanwhile, a new waifu appears. Mikari, a new girl, a famous model, who leaves everyone speechless. At the same time, Okumura arrives at school with his mind racing, worried about the situation with Ririsa. Upon entering the club, the atmosphere between the two is somewhat tense, but they try to break the ice. Ririsa then shows a camera she found, and Okumura recognizes it. It was the same one used last year to take photos with the former club members who have already graduated. Looking at the old photos, he feels nostalgic, thinking, "Wow, am I getting old?" Ririsa, super excited, apologizes for going through the photos without asking, but Kumura says it's all good and that he wants to keep supporting her cosplay project. She gets emotional and even cries with joy, but remembers she forgot the costume at home. So the two of them go to another room to test the camera. They try to take some pictures, but Ririsa freaks out when she sees the results, thinking they turned out horrible. Okumura, trying to help, suggests that she see her uniform as if it were a cosplay that just needs adjustments. After some changes, the result is quite striking as she herself says, but something is still missing. When Ririsa's glasses fall, she starts looking for them, and at that moment, Kumura has a realization. There is the typical clumsy girl with glasses, and he won't let it pass. When she stands up, she hits her head and they end up in a super cliché position, like those romantic scenes people love in anime. Kumura, thinking he's lucky, smiles but returns to reality. The focus is the project and Ririsa. Before he thinks of anything, she is called to the office. Meanwhile, Istasa da pasan seishin kukami luo mikari asazania prishiste chibei. Yakisko Pari, who was already surrounded by classmates, ends up getting a bucket of water and runs to the manga club, where she finds Kumura. She throws herself into his arms, and the guy starts having those thoughts. Mikari then starts to remember that 5 years ago they were very close and even had a conversation about whether he liked someone. Of course, when Kufokai, when she found out he was infatuated with Lily, her heart broke, but she has already gotten over it. But now, after soaking him completely, Mikari starts teasing Kumura, trying to make him move a little. She goes to the balcony, starts reflecting, and admits she's even a bit relieved that he's still the same guy she fell in love with and that she'll make sure no one takes him from her. But then she sees a girl with him and doesn't waste time. She runs to the room and catches Kumura in a suspicious situation. She starts crying, complaining that she was deceived. Then Ririsa shows up and asks if she wants to cosplay with her, leaving Mikari completely speechless. Ririsa, with her natural confidence, explains everything to Mikari, saying that even though she's embarrassed, her passion for cosplay is greater than anything. Mikari, already a bit freaked out, starts acting like an otaku and calls Kumura an otaku. In the midst of all this, Ririsa, disguising herself, comments that Mikari recognizes her as Lily upon entering and asks if she wants to cosplay with her. Kumura almost faints from shock because Mikari agrees, but only because she thinks Ririsa is like the reincarnation of Lily and wants to keep an eye on her. Ririsa, all calm, suggests the name Miriela for the cosplay, but Mikari cuts her off and talks to Ririsa alone, saying she only wants to be Liriel. Ririsa, even without understanding anything, ends up accepting, saying she's also a fan of Lily, even though she's clearly making it up. Soon Ririsa fixes the costume, but when Mikari sees it, she thinks something is missing from the character's vibe. So she asks Kumura if he likes Miriela. He, all flustered, responds yes, because he has many things of hers: letters, magazines, posters. Ririsa promises that she will make the costume perfect by the next day. The next day, Mikari almost doesn't recognize Ririsa. She's without the costume and looking like a zombie from being so exhausted since she stayed up all night sewing. She even missed Goito's help, but she's determined to make the ideal costume because she wants everything, costume and character, to be just right. Mikari, seeing all this effort, starts to think that cosplay is more serious than she imagined. Finally, the costume is ready and wow, it's quite daring. Ririsa also finishes hers and now the two call Kumura to see. He, somewhat embarrassed, looks and says it's incredible. Mikari, all smug, responds that only two otakus could think that she is the real Miriela. The two thank each other because they fulfilled another dream. After a hectic week, they finally finish the cosplay and Ririsa tells Mikari everything. It's just that Mikari doesn't really like the idea of them spending so much time together and asks what she really feels for Kumura. Meanwhile, Kumura is thinking about the event, which for him is almost like a date with Ririsa, but he doesn't know what to wear. Ririsa is also unsure because after a conversation with Mikari, she starts to suspect that maybe, just maybe, she is in love with him. So she also gets lost in her thoughts, not knowing if it's a date or if she's imagining things. On the day of the event, Kumura is at the station waiting, and when Ririsa appears, he is speechless. She arrives looking stunning, like a goddess, and his reaction is so intense that she even gets nervous. Inside, Ririsa is radiant because the look worked out, but she tries to convince herself that it's not a date. Kumura, on the other hand, is already convinced that it is. He tries to start a conversation, but the first topic is a total disaster. They try to go to an arcade, but it's closed. They try another place and it doesn't work out either. Then Kumura notices that Ririsa is starting to lose her patience and she, exhausted from walking so much, admits that her feet hurt a lot. She sits down for a moment and Kumura, all worried, feels bad for not noticing. Ririsa, in her usual way, jokes that he should feel worse for not following her on Insta yet. She even jokes that the goal is to reach 20,000 Otaku followers and promises to buy some snacks for Senai. He, all awkward, confesses that he feels bad for not taking care of her as he should. Ririsa sweetly says that even though he's not perfect, they have fun together. Arriving at the event, Ririsa realizes she forgot to print the DVD cover and the poster. She panics. Kumura, trying to stay calm, says that the important thing is to enjoy. In this, a cosplayer named Magino appears along with her assistant, Ino. They introduce themselves and Ino notices they are without materials. She tries to calm everyone down, saying these things happen, and tells Ririsa to get dressed quickly because it's the only solution. Kumura, a bit embarrassed, asks her to change quickly, hoping they can still sell something. But Ririsa is terribly embarrassed to change clothes there in front of everyone. The event starts, the crowd is excited, but no one shows up at their booth. Mino, seeing the struggle, tries to help by teaching how to interact with people. But of course, since they are otakus, even that becomes a challenge. Ririsa, already discouraged, thinks about giving up and leaving. Zen Kumura, in his friendly way, tells her to change and show everyone the Lily cosplay she made. He remembers that he always dreamed of people seeing how much he loves this, and that her version is undoubtedly the most beautiful. He holds her hand, excited, and takes her backstage while thinking that time is running out. When Ririsa opens the suitcase, she realizes she forgot several things because of her nervousness. But then, as if by magic, the other cosplayers notice the situation and offer to help. That cosplayer Ririsa met before also shows up with what she has. In the end, Mamacita manages to finish the cosplay. After thanking everyone, she runs off. Ino, who was relaxed, starts bothering Kumura again. But then suddenly everyone falls silent. Lily finally appears and leaves everyone speechless. Ririsa runs to Okumura, who is very happy to see that she managed to arrive on time. But time is short, only 10 minutes remain. Soon, the crowd with cameras surrounds Ririsa, desperate to take photos. Even Ueno tries to control himself not to make a scene, since he doesn't want to betray Magino. The crowd starts to suffocate Ririsa, but Ueno, being a good assistant, takes control and asks the crowd to be gentler with her. Okumura, grateful, is happy to see that everything is going well. And the photo session begins. At that moment, Ririsa remembers when her mother saw one of the mangas for the first time and said she was making a terrible mistake. She lets out a little laugh, remembering everything she faced to get there. At the event, Ririsa finally achieves one of her goals, and it's all thanks to Senpai. Well, not all, but a good part. Yes, they are very happy with the photo session, and Okumura, all excited, asks for one last photo with her, saying she looked amazing. He takes a photo with Ririsa and the others, says goodbye to her new friends, and they say they will wait to see her at the next summer event, leaving our warrior all excited. At school, when Mikari enters the club, she finds Ririsa in just her underwear. She scolds her, saying she should be more discreet, but then asks how the event went. At that moment, Ririsa is called back to the room. So, before leaving, she asks Mikari to take care of her things. She rushes out and ends up bumping into a teacher. She apologizes and thinks that the teacher is very beautiful. Meanwhile, Okumura arrives at the club and finds Mikari dressed in Liliel's cosplay. She apologizes, saying she did it to try to understand the cosplay better, but that she will take the outfit off soon. However, seeing Okumura so happy and excited, she doesn't miss the chance and throws herself into his arms. Okumura, not understanding anything, is paralyzed, but Mikari takes the opportunity and offers herself for him to touch as he pleases. Okumura, not knowing what to do, just thinks it's a great chance, but decides to refuse because it would be like scoring a goal without a goalkeeper and still missing. Then Ririsa enters the room and, seeing the scene, goes straight to Okumura and with a slap, throws Mikari against the wall. She was so involved with the Liliel cosplay that she forgot she was putting on a show of emotions. Mikari, super embarrassed, tries to hide. A few days later, Okumura meets Odin at the station. He asks Odin for help because he wants to improve his skills as a photographer before the next event. Odin wasn't very excited about being chosen as his mentor, but since he's the only one Okumura knows, he ends up accepting. He takes Okumura to a room they rented to take some photos, since the cosplay Okumura is going to use is very traditional Japanese. Okumura, feeling very grateful, starts the photo session, but when Odin sees the photos, he begins to point out the mistakes and gives various advice. And then, it's time for the bolder photos, the ones with a more provocative atmosphere, and Okumura starts wondering if this is really something a god would do. Okumura feels a bit uncomfortable with the situation, but Odin and Magisu try to reassure him. They explain that part of his job as a photographer is to capture the ideas and emotions of the cosplayer, and that if he understands Ririsa well, he can help her reach the top of the cosplay world. Okumura, somewhat confused, asks Odin what exactly that means, and Odin explains that in the universe of cosplay there are 4 celestial queens. The first is Erika Kaioka, the calmest and most centered. The second is Nagomi, super sweet and charming. The third is Yoko Shizaki, a well-known fetishist, and the last, most legendary, is Mayura. She was the one Ririsa met at the first event, but she hasn't appeared since the previous summer. Her disappearance has everyone wondering who will be the successor. After seeing Liliel at the event, Odin is sure that Ririsa has the talent to become one of the greatest. Okumura, realizing that being a photographer is a collective effort, feels inspired by Odin's words and decides to do whatever it takes to bring Mamacita to the top of cosplay. Now, kesizim sosi yöderins. Back at school, the senpai brings some magazines and manga for Ririsa to get inspired and starts the photo session. Okumura puts into practice all the advice Odin gave, and Ririsa thanks him for his effort. But in the middle of the conversation, 2 student council members knock on the door and tell Okumura that the manga club will be downgraded because it hasn't reached the required level to remain active for 3 years. And since there aren't many rooms available, the space will be given to the aquarium club. This news makes Okumura quite worried. Ririsa tries to talk to him to calm him down, but since he doesn't respond, she gives him a big slap, which of course works. Okumura immediately starts thinking of a way out. Ririsa stands up and tries to cheer him up, saying that it doesn't matter if they are kicked out of the hall. What she wants most is to stay by his side, because she wants to fulfill her dream with him. "Of course, my queen, whatever you want," replies Okumura. He decides to go to the student council room to see what he can do. There, they explain that to maintain the hall, the group needs to meet some requirements, such as submitting a detailed report on the club's activities so they can review the status. Additionally, Okumura needs to obtain a teacher's signature at the end of the form. Determined, he heads towards the teacher's room, ready to find a solution. None of the teachers agreed to help Okumura, which left him quite frustrated, until one of them suggested asking for help from the new teacher named Nu, who is very popular at the school. Okumura decides to look for her, but she ends up refusing, saying she is very busy. Even so, he thanks her for her attention.